Hello and welcome back to Spirit Mom. Today at Spirit School we're going to be discussing a specific quote by Carl Jung. Now if you can't tell, a lot of what I talk about is from Carl Jung. He was a profound teacher of our timeline. Even though he's from our past, he's from our specific chunk of time. And he had many things to teach us about our souls and to open it up. And even though he was a mystic type person, even if he didn't realize it, he brought it into a tangible place for us to get into. Unlike Freud, who went too far into materialism, even though he did had some important things to say, but he was missing that spiritual element that Carl Jung had in spades. He didn't adhere to any specific religion, though he was raised Christian along with most other people of that time. He was an open person with an open, expanding mind who had so many things to teach us. And he taught me a lot, and it's what has inspired me and helped heal me and help inspire me to heal others like you. Because everybody can be healed. It just takes digging up that shadow, opening up that space to let in the light. And Carl Jung focused a lot on the darkness within, and I think that's just because he was from a darker time where things just were harder. Things were starting to get better, but they were almost like the early stage of cavemen coming out of the cave in that early technology, that early technological age, where there was a lot of profound minds. C.S. Lewis was another one of them. Great things to say. So Carl Jung, and his specific quote we're going to talk about today was, and this isn't a direct quote, but it's, people will do absurd things to avoid meeting their soul, to avoid encountering their soul, which just explains everything in the world today. It explains every single person that gets ego triggered when you try to tell them something that's gonna help them. Like if you're on this learning path, one of the first things you start doing is you start chipping away at everyone you know and being like, oh, you could fix this, you could fix this, that, you could fix this, if you just don't do that, if you just don't do this, and watch how they just freak out at you. Their egos just bite your head off because they don't want to encounter their soul. And it's just like, it blows your mind that people don't want to heal, but it's this, it's almost like a paradox that we want to be alive. We have all these things of wanting to be immortal, yet people don't want to actually get to know themselves, because to get to know themselves, it's like going into that belly of the beast, that hero's journey, going through the darkness of the shadow to meet your soul, because you can't meet your soul unless you're willing to look your human self straight in the eyes and say, I see you. And you need to swim through that darkness, push it to the side, not in an avoiding way, but in a dealing with it and moving it aside, dealing with it, moving it aside. This is like encountering it and letting it go, encountering it and letting it go. And finally, you do meet your soul. And it's an everlasting meeting too. Once you get that feeling that I always talk about in the meditative space, that, that's the soul. And the more we dig into it, the more there is, the more you can expand. But to the point of this quote, the absurd things people will do not to meet their soul. It explains society. It explains the push towards that Satan, that materialistic mind, because he brings forth this way of living, like this virtual living that's getting pushed on us, this way of enjoying yourself without touching the soul. Like everything, almost everything, technology based is that avoiding of the soul. All our TV shows, alcohol, but the TV shows go on, like you could explain them for days. Things like their Kardashians to everything, even my guilty pleasures. Like I was trying to watch Survivor yesterday and I was like, oh my God, I don't even think I can do this anymore. Like my soul is just getting to that point where it's pushing. We're in that phase. It's not just me. We're in a very shaking phase. I've said a lot, and it's even coming down to me, and I'm even like losing Survivor. I got to finish Big Brother, and now Survivor's on, and it's like, nope, that was your last. Because it is just this, I always try to explain it away because I'm looking at the pot of humanity interacting together. This is a learning experience, but no, sometimes it's just like, no, this is so dumb. It's rotting my soul, because it is that numbing effect. Anything that has that, oh, I just wanna veg out, just let me relax. That's one thing I always find people say when I try to get on the people I know and say, well, maybe you should do this instead. Maybe you should do that instead. Back off, man. I worked so much. I just need to relax. Just let me relax. Yeah, relaxing should literally be changing. I just want to block off my soul. I just want to shut it down and not talk to it. That's really what they're saying when they say that. But we, as conscious individuals, can still push past that ourselves. We can still choose to go deeper and recognizing things on the outside and the inside, to see that they're soul blockers, because this society has planted so many things in our way that get in between us and our soul. So you have the satanic part of it, which is the materialism world that stops us from getting to us, from letting us know our true soul. But then you also have the Luciferic side, which he is a spiritual angel, literally. And so you do have spiritual elements there, but that's blocking you from knowing your true soul, because it's almost like a surface level gimmick of the soul. So Luciferian things are very like fun things. Like think things like roller coaster. Not that they're bad, but like that really high adrenaline, soul-filled fun, like bungee jumping, and that's all not to say those are bad things to do. But because Lucifer is not, I don't know if he's evil or not. He's kind of evil, but like he wants us to have fun. He's Satan's trying to take and kill our soul, where Lucifer is almost just like the fun uncle that's gonna destroy us by giving us too much candy, because they're both destroying elements though. And so Lucifer's gonna be too much fun, but it will feel spiritual. So too much, like I said, like the hippies in the forest, like the kumbaya, the big orgies. Think orgies, that's Lucifer. Think even the way people are today with like multiple partners. Now, I'm not trying to be a shamer, but every time you get intimate with someone, your bubble aura just and we talked before about family curses. You can actually transfer family curses. So you do want to watch how many partners you have, because you're not just transferring family curses, you're transferring just energetic effects. So things that are strong in one's aura are going to get passed along. And that's something you're going to want to monitor. You're not going to want to interact too much, especially if you're in the bar scene and hitting it up with lots of different grimy bar people. Then you're getting grimy auras mixed in with you. This is why the Bible talks about purity and cleanliness, and it said stick with one partner, and that's because you're not intermixing. We're in a soul journey here. The Bible even says stay single, but if you can't not sin, like do it, then get married. But it actually says, like Paul himself says, Jesus just says about marriage, he doesn't talk that much about it. He does mention marriage, but he doesn't go on. Paul is the one that says you should stay single, but if you can't be single, like if you're going to get it in, then get married, because you don't want to be tossing it around everywhere, because that is going to spread your energy too thin. You leave a little piece of you with everyone. So you want to have our own energy for ourselves. This is why a lot of spiritual things have celibacy as a thing, though it shouldn't be forced. This is why the Catholics and their fathers enforcing it led to a lot of naughty business, because you should never force it. If somebody feels like Gandhi, he had a wife and had children, but at a certain point in his spiritual evolution, he felt like he needed to be celibate, and he did not leave his wife. He sat her down, discussed it with her, and said, this is what I need to do for my spiritual journey. And she agreed. And they remained the rest of their lives together, married, but celibate. That's beautiful. That's just profoundly beautiful that they could do that together. So he could evolve more spiritually. And we know that he's part of our lifetime too. Just like Carl Jung, he's in our frame of time. So is Mother Teresa. That's beautiful that we had people like these. These were our saints in our lifetime. Because if people were still like canonizing the saints, they would all be one of them. Like we have so many teachings just in our last 100 years to dive into. And they saw this coming. Like Carl Jung, that's why he talked a lot about darkness. I think he could smell the blood in the water, that this world was just going to get more and more and more shut in. And I think it did, but it had the opposite effect. And I feel like there's a lot of us that are waking up, and thanks to things like the internet, we don't need to go into one dogmatic religion. Thanks to things like the internet, we can take it and blend the whole thing into a beautiful sphere all together. Like there's things with each religion that have points of value and will resonate with us. We don't need to be held prisoner by like, yes, I want to worship God, but I don't like what they say about this, and I don't like what they say about that. We can take and pick and choose and cherry pick our own worship, as long as we are sticking to, like, I think the Hermetic principles are the thing to follow. And I think even the Bible knew that, you know, the laws that we follow that govern everything. So we do want to be a good person, because like matches like in all these things, and the karma and vibrations is what it all comes down to. So we do need good vibrations, and we do need love. Is everything. Love is the entire universe. Love makes it all. There's so much beauty here, so much beauty in the soul. So when you get into this, it's so hard to think that other people don't want to meet their soul, but Carl Jung knew it. Carl Jung was like, people will go to absurd lengths not to meet their soul. And it's just like, why? Because they don't want to deal with it. I know them in my life that are just like, no, don't talk to me about that. No, no. And some religions say that not everybody's alive, not everybody's real. Some people are just the background video game characters. So let's hope you're not one of them. So that sums up today's lesson. And let's just look around at all the things in our world of how it's getting orchestrated for us not to meet our souls. And let's avoid those things. Let's not go to the things that are designed to make us avoid our souls. Let's walk straight into our souls and be like, it's nice to meet you. I love you. Let's get to know each other. Goodbye for now, Spirit Mom.